so much. So you have given me 2 minutes more. In the name of Allah, merciful and faithful. Esteemed moderator, ladies and gentlemen, I address you today and welcome you, and I welcome all those who fight for independence and security of respective countries, and I welcome all those present today when our relations with Russia are becoming very sincere and mutually beneficial and respectful, and we thank the Defense Ministry of Russian Federation for organizing this conference. And I wish every success to this conference, which will be definitely a success with your participation. I would also like to convey best wishes from Abdel Fattah, the head of our temporary committee, which have taken power in its hands, and his deputy, to send best wishes and to wish success to your conference. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, you are watching the events which are taking place in Sudan since 2018, as a result of which considerable masses of Sudanese population got the opportunity to enter into dramatic reforms in order to obtain and achieve its dreams. These are the dreams of millions and millions of Sudanese people who demanded and asked their armed forces to take power in their hands, despite all the threats which our country is confronting and our armed forces are facing. We managed to gain support of all law enforcement structures of our country to change the political structure of our regime, and this important step was completely victorious, and we managed to change the situation to the interest of Sudanese people to achieve political independence within several months. Our military council is having transitional period and character, which is designed to develop the all-nation dialogue, to discontinue bloodshed, and we are striving to create governmental bodies free of corruption, release political prisoners, adhering to the norms of international law, and being in compliance with all international treaties and agreements signed by Sudan. What has happened in Sudan could not be characterized what is called by the coup, for our armed forces made everything possible to preserve as many as possible innocent people, to avoid bloodshed, but to arrange a peaceful transition, to carry out reforms which are so needed in our countries. Our armed forces also saved our company from collapse and from crisis. And our armed forces, we never committed a coup d'etat. We have simply accomplished the will of our people, what was dictated by the will of simple Sudanese. As for the subject of our today's discussion, which is illegal migration and terrorism, I would like to say that the world today is faced with this problem, which is quite acute. There are a lot of threats that are borne by this illegal migration, and this requires us to join our forces to counter the negative effects of this phenomenon so that we can preserve the safety and security of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, Sudan plays an important role in the region in the fight against terrorism by cooperating with other countries, by establishing good, friendly, and supportive relations with our other countries. Illegal migration over the recent months and years have led to many crimes of transborder nature. And this problem has therefore attracted a greater deal of attention from the international community. Sudan is the bridge that links African East countries of the African Horn with the Mediterranean nations and with Europe. Its geographic position, its access to the Red Sea, and its proximity to the African Horn and also to the north of Africa and to Europe. This is something that attracts the attention of criminals that try to use our territory as a node for trafficking migrants. And as a result of this, illegal migration through Sudan has become the reason why many crimes were committed in our country and many other negative effects that we could see. The negativity I'm talking about is the flaring up of conflicts, wars, contentions in the region in general and in our country specifically. We have a pretty long border with the neighboring countries. And all of these crimes have the following negative consequences. First of all, this migration causes more poverty and worsens the socioeconomic conditions in the country. It promotes illegal activities and crime in general. It is something that contributes to the fact that many of our youths are involved in this migration. On our part, we are taking steps, and all steps possible, to stem this illegal migration. And despite the fact that our borders are very lengthy, we are trying to exercise the border control policy that would stop this migration. And this is how we stand against human trafficking. And because of this, we conducted in 2018 in Khartoum a special conference dedicated to the problem of illicit migration, to convince many countries to sign a compact to this effect that would lay the way for fighting this illegal migration. We've had some successes. We entered into a bilateral agreement with Chad and the Central African Republic. In a similar fashion, we established similar relations with Ethiopia, our other neighbor, and that helps us create a general mechanism that also encompasses Libya and Nigeria, so that we could stand united against this negative
phenomenon. We are establishing crossing points on the border with Libya, and in addition to this, what we are doing on the Red Sea coast, our armed forces and our law enforcement are taking measures to prevent illegal migration and human trafficking. As far as our anti- or counter-terrorist activities, I'd like to mention that we show some we can see some new features of the new world, both on the regional and sub-regional level, and unfortunately, terrorist activity is growing. It has been growing over a long period of time. And Sudan has been standing against terrorism by relying on the religious and moral values such as respect for the other, tolerance. And as a result, we didn't allow those terrorist organizations that acted in other countries take root in our country. We have developed a nationwide strategy of countering terrorism, and this is related and connected to our overall political course. We also fight against cybercrime by relying on our social and cultural traditions, the traditions of our people. And in conclusion, I would like to say that if there are any discrepancies in the world practice regarding how you define terrorism, that is a challenge, and that is an impediment we have to overcome. We need to overcome it. Thank you.